Hello and welcome to the Alchemist Way. I'm very grateful to be here today with my friend Renée Mifsud, who's a dear sister of mine. We've only known each other for a couple years now, but we're definitely kindred spirits.
Feels like more than a
And
couple.
it does, right?
I
Yeah.
thought it was
And
like 4 years or five, but could be
we've been
wrong.
talking about doing this for a long time. You were
We
actually the
have.
first
We have.
person that really said yes to having one of these conversations, and
Oh,
you've been
yay.
so gracious and patient and just trusting the flow of when the idea's time really had come. And, there have been like several
Yeah.
points where we're like checking in. And it's like, hey, is it happening? Is it time?
Not
And
yet,
here we
not yet.
are.
Like from both of us at different times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so here we are. And I just want to give you a little brief introduction for anyone listening. Renee is a multi talented, multi passionate artist. That's my language. She describes herself as an alchemist, a creatrix, a wellness visionary devoted to supporting people in living emotionally grounded lives rooted in self healing and spiritual connection. And
Mm.
I've definitely experienced firsthand through our conversations, but also just being, the way I found you was through your Instagram page, Ritual of Heart, and you're constantly blessing up that space and your audience, your community with these really beautiful and timely transmissions and nuggets of
Thank
wisdom.
you.
And yeah, it often happens that I will be going through my own, thing, and I'll come across something that you're putting out, and I'm like, wow, she's like right on the money. She's tapped in. I really feel like we're in
Uh,
the same soul class too. I feel like we're in the
yeah,
same
there's something
classroom
like that going on.
for sure. And there's some
Yeah.
definite parallels. So
Yeah.
welcome, Renee. I'm so happy that you're here and we're doing it.
Yep. Finally doing it. Yeah. Thank you for
And
saying that. Yeah. With
yeah.
with Ritual of Heart, it started as kind of like a spontaneous thing. Like it was never
Mm,
really planned. Like when I
right.
when I help other businesses with their Instagram and like their approach, it's like I have a framework, but for my page, it's always been what is true in the moment. What am I feeling? What am I sensing? And then I just like send it out there. And it's rare that I ever take anything down once I post it or
Mm,
change anything. Like I just trust the caption. Like whatever I write the first time, it's just there. And I mean, there's been a couple times where I've been like, should I shift that?
mm,
But yeah, it means a lot when I get that feedback, when it really feels supportive of like where you are in your journey right now. And I actually launched Ritual of Heart right when the pandemic hit. At the time, I was leading weekly women's circles, like in person, every week.
mm-hmm,
And then once the pandemic hit and we were forced to isolate, I was like, okay, it's time. It's time to
mm,
like come out of the spiritual closet and like just be me full time. Like I guess to the public or like to the outer
yeah.
world, like just and I thought, okay, I'm going to start this page to just share everything that I can about my own journey.
Mm,
All of the medicine, all of the insights that I can share because when I was going through it, it would have been really it would have been really nice to be fed these things. Like
yeah.
and so that was the intention behind it, is just to share what was coming through in
Mm,
hopes that it would support people. And the messages that I received during that time, I mean, there were some people that were very isolated. Like they were
mm,
forced to stay in a room, like, and all they had was like their phone. And like, I had someone I'm thinking of right now message me like years later telling me that like I basically kept him going. Like I kept him alive because
wow.
he was just like really going through it and being isolated and going, having having a journey, having like a medicine journey. And so I feel like most of my life is a medicine journey. So like without plant medicine, just in real time.
Yeah.
And it's not a choice at the same time. I appreciate it, but it is intense. So I thought, okay, I'm just going to share what I can to help other people in their journey.
Yeah, and it seems like it grew pretty quickly. Like it took on maybe a life of its own, would you say?
Yeah. I just like, and it was also about community. So like I would follow back as many people as I could. Because I also had this thing, like it bugs me a little bit when you have this huge account and they follow like 50 people or 150 people. And it's like, okay, like that is just not the vibe that I'm feeling for my page. Like, and Instagram caps it at a certain number, and I just like max that out all the time because I just want to be in community with people. I want it back and forth. So
I love that. Well, we're diving straight into the deep end here, but we have some important, speaking of rituals, we have an important ritual that we are going to do, which is part of the Alchemist Way tradition, but we're going to do it with a little bit of a twist because we both share a passion for music and Jamaican culture and reggae music specifically. And so before we do this, we're gonna have our chocolate chip cookie. Anybody who tunes into the Alchemist Way knows what's up. So you made your own cookie. I made my own cookie because we don't live in the same city. Otherwise, I'd provide the cookie
or
myself.
Country. We are
Yeah,
in two
that's
different
right.
countries, so we cannot share cookies and tea, unfortunately.
Yeah,
This
Renee's
time
in Northern
around.
California. I'm in Northern Ontario. So you want to tell me at all about the cookie you got going over there? What do you got there?
Yes, my
Because you're also
cookie.
like a culinary creator,
I
you make
love to
magic in the
cook.
kitchen. Yeah.
Yes, and since I became a mother almost 14 years ago, cooking became my main creative outlet, to be honest. And I love mixing herbs for tea and everything. So so this cookie I actually did not make. My son made it.
Oh, wow. Good
He's better.
job.
He's better at baking than I am, actually.
Got your son on it.
Yeah, so it's like it's a cookie with organic M&Ms. So like there's M&Ms, colored M&Ms, but they're
Wow.
naturally colored and
You're blowing my mind right
organic.
now. There's organic M&Ms like
Yeah, I mean it's obviously not made by M&M. I probably
yeah,
wouldn't
but
even
you
buy organic M&Ms
yeah,
if M&M made it or whoever makes
for
it.
sure. Oh, so
Nestle.
you guys made them.
So no, well these come from this amazing co-op grocery market and general store called Rainbow in San Francisco, and
Gotcha.
they have everything that they can have in bulk to like
Oh.
save on packaging. Like it's just so amazing. So they actually have these organic, natural M&Ms. I mean, I shouldn't even use the word M&M, but you know what M&Ms look like.
Yeah,
But you
totally.
can get them in bulk. So
Okay.
yeah, so this is like a colored natural M&M cookie with
Love it.
oats and walnuts.
Love it. Amazing. Wow. Well, I've got my standard gluten-free chocolate chip cookie here that is also made with date sugar, so it's naturally sweetened.
Nice.
And this has become a bit of a thing for me. Like it's a ritual in a way. It
Yeah.
really is. It's a ritual. It's an exercise in embracing the playful spirit, the inner
Yeah.
child in a lot of ways. Like there's something very liberating about sharing a chocolate chip cookie in a setting like this. So
Yeah,
I think
that's
that's part
true.
of the sauce. And just to crank it up a notch, we're gonna get a little
Yes.
bit into our love of reggae. So the cool thing is you sent me this song actually.
I sang you this song?
You
Wait,
sent it to me.
recently?
No, it was a
Or
long
back in the
time
day?
ago.
Okay.
You sent me this song and I had this kind of image of like, because I know you love to dance and that was
Yes,
part of your fun. I was like,
it's
one
true.
day me and Renee are going to jam to some reggae together.
Yes, we are.
And here we are. It's happening. But so this isn't like the full fledged. So is there anything you would like to add to this cookie eating ritual to take it to another level? How
Oh, I
you would want
love
to do it?
that. as I turn it up. Um, I think gratitude. I think gratitude and a deep breath.
I love that. Okay. Let's
How
do it.
blessed are we to be in
We
this
are
moment,
blessed.
so far away from each other, having this conversation, listening to music that feeds our soul, and eating an organic homemade chocolate chip cookie. Giving thanks.
Look at this smile.
I'm like so craving live reggae, like very soon. I think next week I'm actually going to be able to experience
Yeah?
it.
Amazing. We were actually in Jamaica, both of us, at close
Was
times
it
to
like
one
a
another.
month apart? I think
It was very
it a
close.
month? That was wild.
Yeah. We're still going here. I got one more bite to have at least.
Same here. You're finishing your whole cookie?
No, I'm not going to eat the whole cookie. I'm just having like,
same here.
I mean, you're welcome to, but
No,
mine's
no,
like
no.
really rich.
I don't even finish my whole cookie. What kind of tea do you have going?
Save it for later. Peppermint tea. My combo is peppermint tea, and I love the offset of the sweetness of the cookie and the sort of like palate cleansing of the peppermint.
Oh
or
yeah, it's so
refreshment.
fresh. Peppermint's so fresh. And you know, I just learned, and as a musician yourself, is it true that peppermint is really supportive to your voice, like for singing and stuff? Did you hear that?
Actually-
I just learned it last week.
I've actually been told the opposite. So-
Are you serious? That is
Yeah,
so
because it's
funny.
Yeah, it actually isn't necessarily the best elixir for the voice because it's sort of drying. But yeah, I rock it
Interesting.
anyway.
Maybe it's not the voice. Maybe it's something else that opens it up. I don't know. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. But
Yeah. Well, definitely I know licorice is really good for the voice.
Yeah.
Licorice tea. Yeah, that's like a really good one. But yeah, I've been told by one of my voice coaches at Peppermint, she had like a list of stuff. So,
interesting. Okay. I'm going to research it.
yeah. And feel free to continue nibbling on your cookie as
Yeah,
we go.
thank you. I'm having a really nice green tea this morning.
Oh,
While we
beautiful.
talk.
Well, yesterday I tried having a cookie with almond milk, and that was also a vibe too. That's like
Nice.
something I've never tried.
Yummy. Yummy.
Yeah, one of my friends put me onto that. So, all right, we did the thing, and I feel I'm curious. Like, do you feel different after doing that in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, reggae, check.
Yeah.
Homemade cookie, check. Gratitude, practice, check. And tea. So yeah, I think I feel present and current. How about you?
It certainly like amplified my joy. Like I feel like I have a big smile on my face that feels like it's very real. Like I'm not even, it's just like, wow, this is like Chris, the little Chris is like having a lot of fun right now. Like, wait, I get to just like hang out with cool people, talk about creativity
Yeah.
and spirituality and art, listen to music that I love, and eat chocolate chip cookies.
Hello.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
Hello.
Yeah.
I love that.
So yeah, we could spend a lot of time there. I do really want to. There's a lot about you that I don't actually know, and I'm actually genuinely curious. So from the outside looking in, or from my lens, I see you as like a Renaissance woman. I see you as like somebody that has all these different talents. You're into like graphic design, and part of what I love about your page too is your transmissions are very aesthetically eye-catching. They have a certain like resonance visually as well. What you create is really like has a beauty aspect to it. I know you have like a passion for fashion as well, and you're also very versed in a myriad of like spiritual modalities, medicine path. And it occurred to me, I don't know if this is true, but your name, Renee, does that actually mean Renaissance? Does that actually correspond? Like in French, to be born is, the word is né, naissance. So Renee is like, I don't know if there's a connection to the etymology of that word in your name, but that landed for me before. I was like, oh, I wonder if that's actually part of your name's
Wow.
etymology. Have you ever?
I really appreciate you bringing that up because I haven't
Mm,
thought about this in a while.
wow.
And yeah, so I was at an ancestral skills gathering, and this couple
No
came
big
up to
deal.
me and like we met, and they were from Israel. This was like probably 6 years ago or so, and they're like, "Oh, Renee, that means reborn," and I'm like, "Oh, because that's funny because I'm also a Scorpio, which is also about being reborn." So like
Interesting.
I have double reborn,
Wow.
restart, death and rebirth. And it's very true. My life has been that way. And
Yeah.
that is
Wow.
yeah.
And so I'm
So
curious, like, how does it all come together for you? Like all these different avenues of expression, through the lens of the artist, the alchemist way, like that conversation. I want to kind of pick your brain on like, you do all these different things and you have this expression that lives in the world that's, you have your IG and then now you have your also community, which is called Save a Sit, and you bring people together in that sacred space. And I'm just like, I'm really curious about your take on being someone that's like multimodal, multi passionate, and how you balance all of these different skills and passions and forms of art.
I really appreciate that.
Mm,
Thank you. Um, Dropping into that. Well, it's been a little bit of a windy path
right.
because it does not fit into our society. It does not fit into our Western culture. And I've tried to like fit myself into different boxes, in our society, and it just doesn't work. And I think
Mm,
because I'm so connected to my spirit, I'm aware of when my spirit is being drained. And I just cannot say yes to things that drain my spirit. I try. I've tried.
mm-hmm.
So it's been like a chosen challenge in a way, to really listen to my heart as the compass.
Mm,
And, I started off my undergrad is in mechanical engineering. So it's
yeah.
like I came from that and then I reinvented myself as a designer because like engineering fit part of me. And I think
Yeah.
that I'm appreciating the 8 years that it took to get that degree now, especially because I think that's what you feel in my graphic design. I have this analytical side where it takes chaos and makes it become order.
Mm,
And like I think one of the main things engineering taught me is to take a big issue or problem and break it down into pieces that you can approach. And I
right.
think that that carries into my overall beingness and my
Yeah.
work, how I approach also healing. It's like, okay, like we have to have a lot of pots on the stove right now
Right.
to function in life and also go through the healing process and all of the awakenings and the growth points and the portals that we're squeezed through, the challenges. And so there is a mindset component to it where it's always choosing. What am I choosing in this moment? Am I going to sit and dwell in this, or am I going to learn and
Mm,
choose differently and try something new, perhaps, and not give up? And so I do have a bounce back. Like sometimes, though, it takes a while, like I went through like a 6 year night of the soul, dark night of the soul, I meant to say.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is where a lot of my medicine comes from. And it was just me and myself and unraveling everything that I I knew about myself and rebuilt very slowly everything that was actually true. And that's
Rebirthed.
kind of like my foundation. Yeah, a rebirth, major rebirth
Yeah.
during that time.
Yeah. Wow, I love this. I love there's a few threads that I'm learning, just learning that you went to school as an engineer, which is also something we have in common because I went to law school, so I have that
Oh, nice.
background.
Very
And you
technical.
often
Yeah.
say like, "Oh, you're so, the speaking thing comes so effortlessly to you." I think that's a bit of, being
Oh,
in that
right.
process of learning. I've taken that skill and applied it to my art and my spiritual path and my
Beautiful.
way of being in the world. And yeah, I really get that you're one of the things I really wanted to ask you, and I'm kind of getting the answer is like, what is your day to day lens or focus that has you coming into contact with the things that you share? Like, what are you
Oh,
constantly orienting yourself towards? And
yeah.
I'm hearing, I'm sure there's more, but I'm hearing like, you know, choice. I'm hearing like the lesson, the growth, the learning,
Yeah.
the meeting the edge.
Hmm.
And there's
Hmm.
something about like constant renewal. That's the alchemist in you that
Hmm.
you're really tuned in from this heart-centered, heart-led place to the energetic pulse of what's moving in you and in your life, and you're constantly similar. And I'm sort of projecting because I can also relate. That there's this, that's kind of the thread. It's like,
Yeah,
what's
I
the
mean, you're
energy
feeling it. I don't,
conversation?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't feel like it's a projection. I feel like you're just feeling it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I
know
mean,
it's
I'm
in my
projecting what I see in myself, like
Uh-huh.
how I
Uh-huh.
relate to that way of
Mm.
navigating life through just having my finger on the pulse of a stream of energy, a stream of
Yes.
inspiration.
Yes.
So is there more you can say about that? Did I
Yeah.
did
I
I
mean,
capture some of it?
yeah, I mean, like as you were speaking, the word that stood out for me was renewal. And
Mm.
for us to renew ourself in this society with so much input, so much conditioning, so much pressure, you know, that sense of renewal is so important. And
Yeah.
so I think one of my main things that has been foundational for me is the lack of input from media. So
Mm.
I grew up in the countryside on acres of land with no neighbors. And so I spent a lot of time outdoors doing crafts. I have two
Mm.
sisters, I'm the oldest.
Wow.
And like my parents, they didn't have cable. Like we had like maybe 5 channels and we also didn't have a big library of watching movies. So like we would watch kind of the same movies more than once and or more than twice.
Yeah.
And it was just like a very clear, energetic space. And then when I left the house and went to college and studied engineering, I also didn't have time. I was studying for 20 hours on the weekend. I didn't have time to sit and watch series and movies and like all the things. It's like a treat. It's a treat to watch a movie for me, to sit down for like
Yeah.
an hour and a half block and watch a movie. Or,
Mm.
yeah, so I think just keeping my energetic field pretty clear my entire life and like into my adult life has been critical because I'm not desensitized because of that. So like when I do watch something, it has an impact. It has a
Yeah.
huge impact on me. And I'm an empath and
Mm-hmm.
like I really feel energy. And so I have to be smart about what I guess expose myself to in a way, like
Yeah. And
just
what you take in, what
and
you
what I
allow
take
in.
in and what I take in
Yeah.
and to give it time when I do experience something, I take time for it to integrate.
Interesting.
And
I
so
love that.
I'm more in touch with where I'm at. And so that sense of renewal, like I know what my body needs. I know
Yeah.
what foods I need, like what my body's craving, what I need more of, like because I'm just really in touch with myself.
Yeah. And because you're such a great teacher and you have this gift and you have, these hacks, these keys, these codes, I would be remiss if I didn't ask you, like, what are some of the things that you do on a day-to-day basis or that you
Uh-huh.
might offer to somebody that's like, okay, well, how do I renew myself? I really heard the point about being mindful about what we allow in, which
Yeah.
could be understood at the level of media content, also what we ingest, what food we
Yep.
allow into our body.
Yep.
I've heard you talk about what music we listen to, which I'm a huge advocate for that as well. Like, it's got to
Yes.
be high vibe, it's got to be organic, and we
Because
could talk about,
yeah, I know, because the energy of the artist is coming through. The
right.
words, if you see words as, casting a spell,
Mm,
our thoughts also cast spells. So
mm-hmm.
it's like what we're receiving, it's
Yeah.
making choices of what you choose to receive to keep the energy field clear.
So that's
Um,
something, if somebody hasn't done this at all and they're hearing this idea for the very
mhm.
first time and they're like, oh my goodness, like, where could someone start? What would
Yeah.
be a good place
Yeah.
for someone to just begin implementing some of this, your medicine, the
Yeah, thank
ritual of
you.
heart, Renee way?
The Renee way. Actually,
Yeah.
I had a domain one time called the Renee way.
Get out of town.
Yeah, I need to
It's
renew
in the
that.
field. It's in the
I gotta
field.
use that. That's too good.
Did
I
you
was
say you need
like,
to renew that? You're
yeah, oh
so
yeah, there we
funny.
go.
It's all
Oh
over.
God. Um, yeah, I love that question, and I'm going to do my best to include a very holistic approach because it is. I could talk about food and herbs all day long, or I could talk about, the physical body movement, and yeah, or energetic or spiritual levels of how to maintain, the grounding and the stability and the resilience that we need right now in this world we're living in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Well, there's two things I thought of right away. One is to not overbook myself.
Mm.
So to allow enough spaciousness to breathe in your own life. So that carries out kind of broad spectrum.
Yeah, but I love that. It's simple, but it's really easily applicable. It's like, and I really see you living that too, because we've had a couple shifts in our scheduling, and
Yeah.
I similarly, I don't spread myself so thin that
Mm-hmm.
everything's packed so tight that there's no wiggle room, because I know that to really show up with intention and full energy and full
Yep.
presence, sometimes it
Consistency.
requires the space before, the space after, the
Yeah.
prep. We also did a nice little prep leading into this. We set intentions, we landed in the space together.
Yep.
So we're really practicing that. And yeah, so that's a beautiful simple takeaway of just like creating space, not spreading ourselves too thin, not overbooking. What was the other one you were going
Yeah,
to
you
share?
can look at it from a very micro lens where it's just like your daily life, or you can look at it in a more macro
Mm,
lens, like week or month, like what is the general shape of my life,
yeah.
to look at that. The other first thing I thought of is like first thing in the morning, big glass of pure, I mean, I drink spring water with some high mineral salt,
Mm-hmm.
like big thing of spring water with mineral salt to just, because you've been sleeping for maybe 8 hours, and to just like clear and flush your system with pure, trusted water. And I feel so blessed to have access to this water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's how I start my day. And then, yeah, just to Sometimes this is something that I'm practicing is to be able to communicate what I do because I've lived this lifestyle for so long that it's so integrated that
Yeah,
sometimes it's hard for me to pick out the things. But I would say
totally.
to have just boundaries about what you take into your body.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, the other
yeah,
thing I'm really kind of wanting to kind of zero in on with you even
yeah,
more is like you're very consistent in your transmission in your output, and I'm really curious as an artist, like how are you setting yourself up to maintain your online presence and using the different skill sets that you have to create the content that you create? Like what does that look like? Is it like just whenever you feel like it, or do you have like set time that you put aside? I like, it's a very specific question, but I think a
yeah,
lot of the people that I'm probably gonna draw into this conversation are gonna be creatives who want to
yeah.
like, and that's definitely my curiosity. It's like I always, when I see people creating consistently at a high level, I want to know like what is the behind the scenes? Like where do you struggle and where's your mastery?
What a good question. Thank you. Um, I there's a couple things that come up right away, and one is to form a good relationship with the thing that you're like Instagram, for example. So I feel like I have always had a really good relationship with Instagram. I don't get
Wow.
burned out.
Wow.
It's like maybe I'll take some days off, but like it doesn't I think I'm detached or unattached enough to it that it doesn't define, I guess it's not defining my identity. I think that's what it comes down to. Is like
That's amazing.
I'm
That's
separated
rare.
from it enough. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's why I'm able to be so consistent for so many years and not get burned out. I feel like it's a little bit of an extension of myself,
Yeah.
but not in a way that it's like I try to keep it really real, you
Yeah,
know?
you
Like
do.
I try to like just not practice too much, like, or at all. Actually,
Mhm.
I just, back like 6 years ago, maybe I would do a couple takes, but like
Yeah.
in general, it's just like relax and just, um, so yeah, having a good relationship and having maybe a purpose or intention set behind it. So my
Yeah.
intention has always been to be of service and to meet people where they are and provide something that will help them and support them and give them hope. And I've had my journey like over these last years, like but I think it's just this focused life force on always coming back to center, always coming back to balance, and being disciplined and devoted to
Mm.
that. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, now I'm wondering if I even answered your question.
You absolutely did. And
Okay.
there's a lot there. There's a lot there. It's a rich
Yeah.
answer, but it's definitely a clear answer. And so the second part of the question was like, where do you struggle? Where
Oh,
do you
where do I
feel like
struggle?
you're meeting an
Yeah.
edge, or where you're like, yeah, like where do you struggle?
Yeah.
Where do you feel like you're being asked to grow beyond a comfort level into something new that's challenging to you? If you are open to sharing, I'd love to know.
Yeah, totally. So before you asked me, is it spontaneous or do
Yeah.
you have a structure around it? And with the things that I share. So a lot of it is spontaneous in the moment.
Yeah.
Like it's like what I'm feeling in the moment. And that really makes the energy alive and you're connected to it.
True.
So it's like when the magic comes in, if you don't grab it, it will
Yeah.
pass by and someone else will grab the magic? And it's not
Yeah.
about someone else getting it and me not getting it. Like I want us all to get the magic, but I'm talking about that personal fire within, inspirational moment. The magic comes in. Are you going to do something with it right now?
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's not the time. Sometimes the
Yeah.
magic passes by and you have to have compassion for yourself. But it's just like staying alive, you know, keeping your spirit alive and
Yeah.
connected. And
I love this. So you're
yeah,
giving me inspiration. So you get a hit, you get a download, and you're like, I gotta whip up a post. I gotta whip up one
yeah,
of these like
yeah.
graphics, and you just run with it.
I run with it. So what I am challenged by though,
Yeah.
because I feel like in this creative flow, I'm really in my feminine energy, you know, like,
Yeah.
so I'm right now working on activating my masculine energy within
Mm.
to help me create frameworks and structure
Mm.
for my days and my work. Because I
Yeah.
have a lot of things that I have, you know, that are inside of me that need to be created. And so,
Yeah.
like, okay, how can I do this? So I would say the challenge that I'm running into or that I'm facing right now is to form structure for my creativity and output. That way, like, I have a space for it, it gets done, I feel good. Like, so that I'm currently working on that. An
Yeah.
edge for me would be using my voice in real time. Like I'm
Mm.
practicing that. Like I run a lot of like online workshops every single week. I in my community online, I do a workshop where I'm leading like meditation, journal prompts, discussion. But I would really like to do more in-person stuff and
Yeah.
also like get on Instagram live more and just like
Mm.
practice that like real-time creative flow, stay grounded, let it come through, you know, just let the wisdom come through. Like before we met today, I said like a little prayer or intention, and it was like, let the wisdom come through, you know, from the golden light, through my heart, out my mouth.
Mm.
So that I'm really sourcing it from within
Yeah.
and, you know, from the light. And that's where the flow comes from.
I think you're
So.
doing it. I'm like, oh, that you're cheating. That's not an edge. You're already doing that. But that's great.
No, it's an edge.
I understand. No, believe
Time
me, I get
management and the structure, I'm working on it.
I get it. I get it. And it's a
Yeah.
forever exploration, right? You know, it's like
Yes.
there's always another level. There's always a refinement, an opportunity to become even more embodied in whatever it is that we're
Yes.
here to share. So I totally understand, and I think those were really generous answers. So thank you for that.
Thank you for
Okay, I have one
listening.
more question for you. I have one more question for you, which
Mhm.
is it relates to something that actually you posted, and I got excited when you were kind of bringing the fire a little bit. You
Oh,
started because
okay.
you're
I'm
you're you're
curious.
super you have a pretty
Mhm.
chill demeanor. I also
Yeah.
do, but I think we
Uh-huh.
also have the sort of like love of Jamaican culture and reggae music, and there's a lion connection. I know you have a
Yeah.
painting of a lion in your place, which is always a
It's
cool
actually a
synchronicity.
huge photograph. It's a huge
Wow.
photograph of the lion. Yeah.
Whenever I find my people, I'm like, oh, this is a lion person. Like we have that
Yeah.
connection. There's something about that. So I
Yep.
read something that you wrote recently that I thought was really powerful, and I was
Mm.
curious about it. So
Mhm.
the the image on Insta said, "Fuck hiding your intensity. That's where your life force lives." So F
Mm.
hiding your intensity, that's where your life force lives. And you elaborated beautifully in the caption about how some of us have been told you're too emotional, you're too passionate, too sensitive, too much, too loud, too deep, too intense. But a lot of what gets called too much is actually life force that was never given a safe place to land.
Yes.
I want to hear, where the heck did that come from? Like, is that something you were initiated through in your own life? And just if you could speak to that, because I want to receive that transmission. Like,
Oh, yeah. Thank you for getting me back in that energy. Um, It was through an initiation in my own life, actually. I grew up in the Midwest and
Ah.
surrounded by a culture that did not fit me or understand me. And
Mm.
so, but I was raised at home to think for ourselves. And just because they're doing it doesn't mean that we're going to be doing it and stuff like that. And so, but it was like this opposing, like it was not easy. It was not easy growing up. So, I've, I always say I felt like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
And there was just a lot of judgment and just a lot of misunderstanding. And it made me really sensitive to energy. It
Yeah.
made me be able to pick up on my surroundings because a lot of times, because I was so like not understood and felt pretty isolated, to be honest, like it, you know, I was called too sensitive. I was called too much. I felt like too much. I remember like getting ready to go out, you know, as a teenager, looking in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, too much, too much. Take off things. When I was just like
Wow.
being myself and celebrating my, like just like being in the energy, you know, like celebrating
Yeah.
life. So what I came to realize as I into adulthood and really dropping into my healing and my renewal is that those very things that I suppressed are actually my gifts.
Yeah.
And those blockages, you know, where we shut ourselves down, we dim our light, we want to fit in with our surroundings out of survival. As a kid, like you
Yeah.
don't know any different. You unless you have like a mentor in your life, you're blessed with like some mentor that feeds you the wisdom. But a lot of us as kids, we're just out on our own figuring it out. I mean, you're always figuring it out as a kid either way. But yeah, it helped me really carve my own path
Yeah.
and to define my own reference points. And yeah, I think that's the medicine.
For sure. I love that. And that makes a lot of sense. And thank you for just naming the specifics. And I'm curious, sort of follow up to that is,
Yeah.
does that still show up for you now? Do you still feel at times
Hmm.
like you're bumping up against some way that you want to be, or that something that wants to come through that you feel is to this or to that? Or would you say that's sort of more in the past?
Man, you ask such good questions. I can feel your presence. Um, you know, I think now it's an internal challenge. I think
Yeah.
that I am my, if anything's getting in my way, it's myself now.
Sure. Sure.
And
Yeah.
I feel blessed to be able to say that because over the years, you know, I have really kind of crafted and shaped my life to be surrounded by community that is like-minded, you know, high consciousness people, and also to really invest in my relationships within my family, my immediate and extended family.
Yeah.
So that helps keep the consistency.
But you're speaking to something that I think is also really valuable and relatable, which is that, okay, let's say it is you. You are the inner, you're
Yeah,
the critic, or
yeah,
you're
yeah,
the gatekeeper of the
yeah.
next level of your expression. And I think that's, that's often how it shows up for those of us that have done enough work to maybe
Yeah.
get past what was given to us by our community or family of origin. Although those imprints can really last a long time
Oh
too.
yeah, they're
I
always gonna be there. They're all, you know,
yeah,
they're always gonna
I
be
can
there. Yeah.
say I can say from my own experience, like that stuff something that I've been working with up until recently is just like freeing myself from the prescribed rules and parameters of what is acceptable expression and how to be a good this, or a good man, a good boy, or whatever,
Yeah.
from my culture of origin. And that, like,
Hmm.
those imprints run deep.
They
And
sure do.
yet what you're speaking to is like a lot of it starts to live in how we look at ourselves and how we
Yes,
hold that
absolutely.
standard to ourselves. And so, yeah, I'm just curious, like, to just take it one step further, is there something that's calling to you, or some way of expressing, or some project, or some vision, or something, some
Yeah.
next level that you feel drawn towards, where that thing kind of self-sabotage, or that
Mm.
critic, that censor shows
Mm.
up?
Hmm.
And I'm gonna
Yeah.
think on this question too, actually. I'm gonna
Hmm.
take a moment
Hmm.
and reflect on this, and we can both
Yeah.
share.
Yeah. I think something I want to mention before that is that it's the self-compassion piece is huge.
Mm,
Like with
yeah,
all of those inner voices, the critic, or like whatever the saboteur is for each of us, that
yeah,
archetype, to be aware of what archetypes want to run the show and which ones we're going to say yes to, is self-compassion is huge,
yeah.
because if we have to be our biggest ally
Mm,
through this all. Yeah, so where I'd like to go is, I think, being defined like all the time, but definitely using my voice more.
yeah,
Using
yeah.
my voice, because I have a huge passion around restorative justice,
Mm,
and for a very, very long time, kind of my whole life. And so I have a lot inside of me that
yeah.
wants to come out. And that's what I'm working on.
Amazing.
Yeah. So,
That's it. That's
and I and
beautiful.
I just
That's
applied to my I just applied for my master's in divinity, which I'm really
wow.
excited about. Yeah, I was just following breadcrumbs, and this is where it led. And I was like, and this 93-year-old man is the one who told me, "Oh, I think what you're looking for is, I think you should apply for your master's in divinity." And I'm like,
What is a master's in divinity? I'm not even like,
I
I mean,
know.
it sounds
It
epic. It
sounds
sounds like,
epic, right?
if I had to guess what it was, I could be like, is that a study of like different wisdom traditions, or like,
It can be depending on the
ah,
school.
right.
So, well, I think all the schools probably have like a baseline where you learn about different religions and spiritual paths. At least that's what I would hope.
Yeah.
The one that I'm applying to, which I'm going
Yes.
to hear back any day, it's just been prayers
Wow.
up for a few months. They treat all spiritual paths and all religions as equal.
Wow.
And that was like originally what I thought, well, should I study to be a chaplain? But not like a certain religious based one. Like a lot of times, like I'm in the United States, like if you see a chaplain at a hospital or anywhere, like generally they will be Christian based. And
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. That fits a lot of people. But because I'm so passionate about equity and inclusion, like I
Yes.
would want, so I thought at first, okay, like I'll study to be a chaplain so that I can learn about all the spiritual paths that I can, all the religions that I can, and then I can hold space for anyone, like from an educated place. I mean, and so I told this like 93-year-old man and his wife my story a little bit. And he's like, "Oh, well, I kind of feel like you're already doing that. I think what you actually want is to apply for your master's in divinity." And so then he sent me the web page, or I looked it up for the school he recommended, and I was just so inspired because they
Wow.
are just as much about justice at this school that I'm applying to. They are just as much about social justice as they are about spirituality. And
Cool.
that matches me. And so, something like, to answer your previous question, where do I see myself going, is to make that bridge between spirituality and social justice and how they have to exist together.
Yeah.
And that's a huge passion of mine in my work that is kind of not loud and spelled out yet.
Yeah.
But if you're tuned in to the restorative justice energy, like you can feel it. It's just sometimes I say specific things. It's kind of a counter to what I feel in a lot of New Age culture, that there can be a continuation of a colonial mindset within these spiritual spaces, not always intentionally, but structurally. So colonialism is not only the taking of land, it's also taking the meaning, the ceremony, the medicine, the language, the symbols, the sacred practices, and then removing them from their people, their context, their ethics, and their responsibilities. And you know, that's what's happening right now in a lot of spaces, New Age spaces. So that's something that I don't speak loud and proud about yet, that I'm stepping into, especially right now in my life. But it's always been with me. And part of the reason why I haven't spoken so loud about it is that I really wanted to learn all that I could. And I'll be learning, like as a white woman, like I will be learning for the rest of my life. And one of the biggest ways that I learn is I listen directly from the mouths of BIPOC people, Black, Indigenous, people of color, directly from their mouths what their experience is. Because to me, that is the closest way that I can tune in as much as possible to their experience without directly experiencing it myself. And even when I feel that I understand and I'm feeling it, to know that there's part of me that still doesn't, because I'm white. So to have spirituality without recognizing systemic oppression, that just can't exist to me. So when spirituality becomes highly individualistic, when it becomes about manifestation, my abundance, my ascension, my brand, my healing, without the relationship to the land, to the community, to justice, grief, accountability, or repair, I think we have to question, what consciousness is actually operating what is actually operating underneath it.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, Ritual of Heart is about bringing spirituality back into the body, back into the heart, the nervous system, through relational integrity. And being honest about the larger systems of distortion that we're living within, and how colonial logic continues through our culture, our language, our attention, even in spiritual spaces. So yeah, awakening is becoming responsible for the world we live in.
I feel like I just met another one of your archetypal aspects. Like I met Warrior Renee, bringing the fire, and yeah, thank you for bringing that here. You name that that's a space you wanna lean into, and so you brought it, and you shared some of what's on your heart and what's part of your mission and what matters to you and the expansion of your work and your message. And I'm grateful for that. So I'm present to the fact that there is so much here. Like this is such a rich conversation. And to be honest, the part for me that really stands out the most, there was some things that we spoke about that were very specific and where we really leaned into sharing what it is that we have to say or offer on these various questions, which I know I asked a question about what's an edge that you're leading into and I didn't answer it. So I'll answer it just to
Oh yeah,
complete that loop,
please
which
answer.
is for me, I'm leaning into the teacher aspect more, the
Mm,
teacher archetype, which has
yes.
always kind of been at war with the artist. The artist
Yeah.
wants to just be the front and center, one in the spotlight. And being a teacher, and I've written about this extensively, and had inhabiting that role feels like it's not as sexy. It's not as cool. It kind of dilutes the artist persona a little bit. But I recognize that that's part of what I'm here to give, especially as I enter sort of the later stage of life. I'm not super old, but I'm in my 40s, and like, there is definitely a threshold that I feel like I've crossed in the last several years through my own life experiences, and the passing of my mom. That definitely feels like it was a torch pass in some
Yeah.
regards, and an opportunity to step into like, okay, this is the time where the younger generation starts to take care of the older generation,
Yeah.
and that responsibility becomes more apparent. So all that to say, as much as I think we both shared some really cool nuggets, what I got from you the most was just like who you be. It's just like in the
Mm,
embodiment of things that you said casually, that I think there's so much in the fine print, in the if someone listens to this and like is really just absorbing some of the subtler details and nuances of what you shared, there's a tremendous amount of wisdom and a roadmap there for a vibrational roadmap, a little bit of an attunement, if you will, to how you roll, and what Ritual of Heart is all about and
yeah.
what you're all about. So I just want to thank you for bringing it. Thank you for hanging and jamming with me for the chocolate chip cookie
Yeah.
reggae first time ever jam that we had.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, and
So good.
I wanted to just ask if there's anything you want to say in closing or any final reflections.
Um, well, I was just thinking about what you were saying about stepping into your teacher archetype.
Mm,
And I think one thing that came to me was, have you considered fusing the two archetypes so that they're actually maybe don't have to be separate. They don't have to You don't have to choose one or the other, or this one's active, this one's not. Like if you fuse them together,
yeah,
and you can be the teacher and the artist, and it's just that much bigger, that much
you just can't
grand.
help it. You just can't help it, can you? You're just yeah. That's totally spot on. I think the insight for me is that it has to be artist powered teaching. It
Oh,
has
I
to
like
be
that. I like that.
that my
Yeah.
artist, and that's a concept that I got from someone by the name of Garen Jones. Garen's a really brilliant artist and coach, and he advocates, artist powered leadership. So for
Yes.
me, it is about finding ways that I can really allow my artists to be included and not feel like, hey, what about me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that the art is really, it is in the artistry, whether that's drawing on my experience as an artist or literally infusing my artistry into whatever the teaching space is. And I've done some of that. I think those have been some of my peak moments where I'm, if it's
Yeah.
a workshop setting where I'm helping people with voice, and I'm bringing my musical expression, I'm bringing my artistry into the space, and I'm also holding space for other people. And so that's kind
Yeah.
of my happy place. So you're
Beautiful.
definitely spot on with that, and it's definitely like a leading edge exploration. It's new territory, and I there's definitely ways that I have to step over my own resistance, my own stuff that gets in the way,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm leaning into. So thank you for that. That was totally beautiful. Just uh, nicely tied bow to conclude that conversation. So yeah, just before we wrap, I just want to ask you: is there anything else you want to say? Any final closing thoughts or reflections that you want to add?
Well, I just want to say thank you so much, Chris, for being here with me in this present moment. I really enjoyed our conversation, and I appreciate the practice to speak, you know, my inner experience and share it with
Yeah,
everyone.
my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who's tuned in along the way. with
And
our
yeah, we're gonna include in the notes where people can find you, how people can join your weekly Save a Sit, and come and experience more of your medicine, more of your magic week to week, and the journey that you're gonna take them on.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Renee.
All right. Love and blessings, Chris. Thank you
Lots
so
of
much.
love. Much love.